Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and it's a new year, it's a new lockdown, and everyone is still missing their families, and those of you who can see your families, then hold on to them as hard as you can. I have been really missing mine, so today I thought we would look over how to write a realistic family, because no one's ever normal in families. Every character in your story has a family in some way, whether they're, maybe they're not around anymore, or maybe that you're in the middle of a family drama, or maybe there's, a family that someone would rather not talk to, but they get dragged in anyway. Family is everywhere, whether they are a prominent part of the story or not. If you have a family that is going to be making some kind of appearance, then you need to know how to write them realistically in order to believe that these people are actually related in some way and do have a history. So I've put together a few little hints and tips, I suppose. I call them hints and tips. 9 times out of 10 it is just going to be me rambling on about absolute bullshit, but we will see how it plays out. The first thing to remember is history. Family history. And by that I don't mean what was your main character's great-great-great-grandfather doing in the 1400s or something like that. I don't mean history quite like that, unless it's relevant to your story, but that one's completely up to you. What I mean is, every family has a history, every family has a drama. Maybe parents aren't together anymore, maybe there's relationship issues that are going on in the background that have happened when your character hasn't been there, or they've taken place before the story has even happened, so they're walking into this new atmosphere. It can be very tense, it can be very comical, but it all depends on the situation. It's something to have a lot of fun with, because you can set up your own timeline if there is a family drama of when someone split up or when this argument took place and how people reacted to it, how they might react to this character walking back into this atmosphere. You can have a lot of fun playing things around, and it makes for a great character biography for just something to refer to later on, and you can go anywhere with it. It can be presented in the dialogue, it can be presented in the tension in the air, the way that certain characters just give each other a look, that kind of thing. There needs to be history with a family in order to actually believe that they have lived together, they have grown up together. History is important. This one you can have a lot of fun with, and that is inside jokes. Every single family member has an inside joke with each other, whether it's referring to an embarrassing story that the main character was unfortunately part of. It all links back to the history aspect of pet names, nicknames, insults, the way that siblings just sort of rib on each other, that kind of thing. And they're all little bits of fun, and someone might not react to it in the right way. It could be meant as a joke but then ends up being hurtful. It could be something that everyone else finds funny, but then the poor victim of the story is like, oh, here we go again. It's just little things like that to really give character, really give development, and just to show exactly what these relationships are with each other. I mean, siblings can be like, oi, dickhead, but it's done in an affectionate way. Whereas parents could be like, oh, honey, sweetie, or if people are referring to that inside joke, going back to an embarrassing story, it's like if someone had fallen down the stairs, like calling them trippy or something like that, or, I don't even know. There's just so many examples. It's like one of my sisters, every now and again, I'll call Penny. Her name is not Penny. Her name doesn't even begin with P, but there is an embarrassing story from when she was younger that refers to pennies, and I am not going to tell this story here because she'll kill me, but that is why I call her Penny, because there is an embarrassing story behind it, and I know that no one else outside the family is going to have any idea what we're talking about, and she hates it, but it's hilarious, but I still love her and she still loves me. you do still love me, right? It just shows personality, I suppose, in your writing. If siblings are able to swear at each other and call each other kind of insulting nicknames, but they know that it's okay, then it shows that they are close. It shows that they have had a history. It shows that there are inside jokes and there are stories to tell. Likewise, if things are a little bit awkward, so it's like, oh, hey, love. How you doing, honey? It can be awkward, it can be patronising, it all depends on your tone. Inside jokes coming across in nicknames or insults or stories just shows that there is history. So history leading to inside jokes, leading to personality, character, relationships, good family. Quirks and routines. Now every family has their own little traditions, I suppose, little ways that they do things in the house. So some families you can just walk in the house and it's fine. Other families you have to take your shoes off before you enter the house. Sometimes there's like a family portrait on the wall that you have to say hi to. This can come across in so many different ways. I mean, it could be relating to the family's history. Again, it could be showing signs of a very strict household. It could be showing signs of a very easygoing household. It could show signs to their culture, their religion. It could show signs to pretty much anybody in this house. Like, no family is normal, but everyone has little quirks and things within their household that they grew up thinking was normal until they went to somebody else's house. So for example, you could go into somebody's house and have to take your shoes off before you walk in. Like, okay, that's fair enough. Other people, you'd be like going into the bathroom or something and you have to, like, you know, put the seat down after you're done or anything like that. Some people have, even like the way they celebrate events, sometimes you can have different ways of celebrating Christmas. Sometimes there are different ways of celebrating New Year, birthdays. If there is an event going on, which is the reason why this family is reuniting, everyone has to have their little ways of doing things, which may clash because some people have moved out and developed their own traditions. Other people just want to go back into their little routines that they grew up with. Quirks and routines and all that jazz just shows a life in the household. It shows that there are things going on which they can't even explain. It's hard to explain to anybody, but to that family, it makes sense. It is normal to that family. Differing personalities is a big one. I mean, you can have so many different types of people. You could have a tough kind of dad that turns into an absolute softie around his kids. Likewise, you could have a mother who's just so sweet and kind. Whenever, say you're a guest in the house, then you just feel like, oh, this woman is like a second mum to me. She's absolutely amazing. But as soon as you leave, they are an absolute hard ass on their own kids. It's kind of like that attitude of, like, you see mothers in the park of, like, when their kids are playing up and they're just like, oh, you wait till we get home. Oh, they're fine. It's fine. Don't worry. You wait. That kind of, not split personality, that's the wrong way of putting it, but everyone acts differently around different people. You can be more comfortable around family. You can, be a little bit more, you don't have to have as much of a shell and an armour on around your family, or you might have to. It all depends on the situation and what kind of story you are trying to tell. Again, it can be positive or negative, and it all depends on the family dynamic and the history. The main character can be strong and independent and, have loads of friends and be like the leader of the gang, that kind of thing, but as soon as they go home, they transform into this quiet, reserved person because that is the kind of household that they grew up with. On the other end of the scale, you could have a main character who's really insecure and comes across as a little bit clingy and needy to their friends and worries that, oh, maybe I'm annoying them, maybe this, maybe that, maybe the anxiety is playing up. But then as soon as they go back to their family, they become strong, independent, mature, assertive, because maybe they were the ones that had to raise the kids. Maybe they're the ones who had to do everything and step up. So they're allowing themselves to not be that way when they're around people who can actually take care of them. You never know. You never know what goes on behind closed doors. And the differing personalities of different family members does have an effect on those around them. You have to have defining personalities for every single one of your characters, but in that you need to have personalities that do kind of match up with parents at the same time or other family members. Like, you could have, an authority figure who's like, no, we don't show emotion in this house. So therefore, anyone in that household has grown up thinking, okay, we don't show emotion. So they want to, they just don't know how, which can bring awkwardness about. So then you could have people who have left that household and learned that this is okay, and they've gone off and been very in touch with their emotions. So when they go back, they clash with the family. It's that's a very grim example, but it's the only one that's coming to mind right now. Make sure everyone has a defining personality, but then make sure that everyone has a slightly different personality. No one is ever the same around their family as they are with their friends, and when they're at work, when they're meeting someone new, maybe when they're with their significant other. No matter who they are with, they are going to have slightly different ways of acting, slightly different ways of seeing the world because of the environment that they're in. That doesn't make them a flaky character, that just makes them human, because we've all been there. It is very, very hard to maintain who you are when you've had to grow up with certain people who weren't as supportive, or maybe overly supportive, or maybe a little bit too intrusive into your business. You have to adapt, and so should your characters. Still keep them who they are by all means, but don't be afraid to play around a little bit. See how the characters feed off of each other. Fighting. All families fight. This could be another thing with the differing personalities, this could be another thing with the history, with the inside jokes that have gone a little bit too far. It can all add up in a way, but families fight, families argue, siblings can beat the ever-loving crap out of each other, parents and children cannot see eye to eye. There might be that weird uncle that shows up that no one really likes. There could be the over-the-top aunts that you just kind of want to tell to shut up, but you know that if you do, then there'll just be even more hell to pay. Families argue. That is just normal, and it can be something as simple as arguing over, I don't know, who ate the last cake, or something a little bit more serious as maybe something's been stolen. You can pretty much go anywhere with it, but families argue. It can be simple, it can be light-hearted and fun and not really mean anything, or it can be something that could actually shatter this family. It's fun to play around with as a writer, but anxiety-inducing to imagine yourself in that situation. And finally, remember that blood is not always thicker. Families come in millions of shapes and sizes. It could be, you know, a neutral family, a very traditional family. It could be an adoptive family. It could be a foster family, even found family, where this person, your main character, this person has found a group of friends or a group of people that are in a rough situation just like them, and they've just clicked in a way that is basically family. They are family to them now, and they want to look after each other. There has to be that level of protection, there has to be that level of understanding, but there also has to be that level of, we have an understanding, but we may not fully understand each other, and that is just what family is. In that, you can make your own history, you can have your own quirks and routines, you can make up your brand new sort of situation, you can have your own in-jokes, you can see these new differing personalities starting to form. They all add up. It really doesn't matter whether your characters are related or not. If they see each other as family, then this will still refer to them as well. Considering family is so complicated, it is not surprising that it is complicated to write as well, but those are a few little things that have helped me along the way when writing family. Found family is one of my favourite tropes ever, and it still works. These tropes, these hints and tips still work for that as well, but yeah. Found family, I just absolutely adore. So writing actual family is weirdly even trickier for me, but all of these hints and tips still work in this umbrella form, I suppose. But yeah, that is all I have for you today on how to write a realistic family. I hope this has helped in some way. I know I rambled a lot. I did actually make notes to try and keep myself on track because I'm trying to be more organised this year, but that clearly did not work very well, did it? Yeah, if you have any hints and tips for me, then please let me know. I'd love to hear them. How are you with writing family? Do you find it tricky? Do you find it easy? Do you use your own experiences, or is it just something completely off the bat brand new? Let's bounce ideas off each other. Yeah, but I'm going to stop before I go rambling even more than I already have. So I hope you're doing well, I hope you're staying safe, and I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye, my scribblers.